It's probably one of the most serious offenses ever committed inside the ring.
Hey fight fans, welcome back to another countdown here on Boxing Legends TV. Today we'll be taking a look at some of the most gruesome and explicit injuries to ever occur in combat sports history.
That is the hardest knee I have ever seen.
We must warn you that this countdown will not be for the faint of heart. Broken bones, grotesque swelling, and severe bloodshed is ahead, but we made sure to leave out any injuries that led to or caused death. Coming in at number 15, we have one of the most viral boxing incidents of all time between James the Harlem Hammer Butler and Richard the Alien Grant back in 2001.
James Butler, the 28-year-old former USBA super middleweight champ, owns a record of 18-2 as a professional with 12 knockouts.
Although many of you may have seen this clip before, it's what happened after which is mind-blowing. Bizarrely enough, the bout between Butler and Grant was just a charity match set up to raise money for the survivors of the 9/11 terror attacks. After Butler lost by unanimous decision, he had his gloves removed, and Grant then went to Butler's side of the ring for an expected exchange of congratulations. Instead, Butler sucker punched Grant, nailing a bare-handed right hook to his jaw.
He turns to Butler to shake his hand, congratulate him, putting his arm out. Boom! Right there. He was a coward and he couldn't get him during the fight, and he sucker punched him right there.
Grant suffered a temporarily dislocated jaw and a lacerated tongue that required 26 stitches. Butler went on to serve a 4-month jail sentence for the assault, but his reign of terror had only just begun. On October 12, 2004, writer Sam Kellerman, brother of boxing analyst Max Kellerman, was helping Butler out as a friend by letting him stay in his Hollywood apartment while he tried to get his boxing career back on track. After a few months had passed, Sam asked Butler to leave, whereby Butler flipped out and brutally murdered Sam with a hammer, smashing him with 10 to 20 blows in the head. He then torched the house down to try and cover up the evidence, but 2 days later, Butler was arrested and sentenced to 29 years in jail.
But objectively, my brother Sam was also a genius. He's a brilliant guy.
And was always your right hand, right? It was always.
I
Sam
wouldn't say
Max.
right hand. I would say that we were.
You guys were always together at the hip.
Yeah.
At number 14, we have arguably the most brutal bloodbath ever seen in combat sports between Joe Stevenson and BJ Penn for the UFC Interim Lightweight Championship in UFC 80.
This right here is why this is the greatest sport in the world today. Look at that. Dripping with blood, coming out and ready to go.
Just seconds after the start of the fight, Penn knocked Stevenson down with a right uppercut. From the top position, Penn landed a strong elbow to the head of Stevenson, causing a serious cut on Stevenson's hairline. In the second round, Stevenson fought more aggressively but was still unable to threaten Penn. After taking Stevenson's back, Penn secured a fight-ending rear-naked choke at 4:02 of the second round.
Slippery as they are. That's that physical dexterity that he has in his legs. He's got the shot. Here we go. That's it. That's a wrap. It is all over. BJ Penn is the UFC lightweight champion.
Coming in at number 13, we have a rarely seen in boxing ear cartilage injury between the famous boxing cheater Antonio Margarito and Sebastian Lujan back in 2005.
Everybody might want to see that. It's pretty graphic, but you can see the ear actually flopping. If you have children right now, you might not want them to be watching this. Steps in there, and the corner does what we were hoping they would do. They stop the fight.
You know what, Teddy? That's the right call. Let me tell you something. That blood, look at that left ear on Sebastian Lujan. The blood was getting to the point of just spray painting ringside. In actuality, that ear is starting to come off the side of his head. He has a torn ear.
Margarito was later caught against Shane Mosley for loading his gloves up with plaster of Paris to inflict severe damage, but whether he cheated in this bout is unknown, although Sebastian certainly felt that he had unhuman-like power in their match.
He say Margarito, he's cheating him because he put the thing in his hand and the wrap, when he got his hand, and he break his ear,
At number 12, we see the featherweight champion Jose Aldo make his first title defense against the technical punching Mark Hominick back in 2011. The Brazilian star landed flush right hands throughout the contest, causing a grotesque swelling on Mark's head as Aldo cruised to a unanimous decision victory. Mark later said, "It was like he had two fists in one. When he hit with his right hand, he hit like a heavyweight, and his explosiveness, that was the biggest difference I noticed. I'm normally good with distance and being able to fade from a shot, but he can close the distance with not just speed, but with power." Taking the number 11 slot, we have another outrageous swelling. This one is probably the most famous in boxing history. The two former heavyweight champions, Evander Holyfield and Hasim Rahman, squared off in 2002. After multiple headbutts landed throughout the first 8 rounds, the ring doctor called an end to the bout after Rahman's head swelled up like a balloon, resulting in a technical decision victory for Holyfield.
The bump isn't dangerous, but if you can't see, the fight should stop. And Rahman said something to the effect that it was affecting his eyesight.
Coming in at number 10, we have one of, if not the most, brutal nose injuries seen in a Muay Thai contest. Keith McLaughlin and Paul Karpovitz battled it out for 3 rounds until a devastating kick landed on Paul's nose midway through the 3rd. He bravely tried to continue, but the ref stopped the fight soon after the injury occurred.
Oh, good kick. That was a good kick. It was right in the mouth of Karpovitz. It's bad cut, bad cut. But Keith McLaughlin, the reconstruction needed on that, it's going to be unreal.
At number 9, we see Pavel Volak take on underdog Delvin Rodriguez back in 2011.
Above all, protect yourself at all times. God bless you, touch him up.
In round 4, Volak developed a massive disfiguring hematoma on his right temple that, by the end of the fight, would completely close his right eye.
I mean, look, I wasn't really hurt, meaning the punch didn't bother me. My eye just started swelling, and I couldn't really, it was giving me a little bit of a problem, not gonna lie. You know, I didn't want the fight to stop. That's why in the corner, every time they asked me, can you see? I'm like, yeah, I can see, man, come on.
At number 8, we have the rematch between the pound-for-pound legend Anderson Silva and Chris Weidman back in 2013. At the start of the 2nd round, Silva attacked Weidman with a series of kicks, including a heavy inside low kick, which Weidman checked with his left knee. This check snapped Silva's left fibula and tibia on contact. Silva immediately fell to the mat, forcing referee Herb Dean to stop the fight 1 minute 16 seconds into the 2nd round and give Weidman the victory by TKO. Low kicks were some of Silva's most effective strikes in their first encounter, which led Weidman to focus on defending against them for the rematch. At number 7, we have the relentless assault inflicted by Chris Eubank Jr. on Nick Blackwell in their match back in 2016. Eubank Jr. dominated the action using hard hooks and uppercuts, which eventually led to a bloody nose and a large swelling above Blackwell's left eye. Following the midway point in the corner between rounds, Chris Eubank Sr. was heard to instruct his son to refrain from punching Blackwell in the head. In the 10th round, the referee summoned the ringside doctor to assess Blackwell, who in turn deemed him unable to continue due to the swelling on his head obstructing his vision. This handed Eubank Jr. the victory and title. Some minutes after the fight was stopped, Blackwell was given oxygen and taken out of the arena by stretcher. He was later taken to St. Mary's Hospital with bleeding of the skull outside his brain and placed in a medically induced coma. An operation was not deemed necessary, and the following weekend, he was thankfully brought out of the coma.
I mean, you must feel lucky to be alive, aren't you?
Yeah, definitely. You know, when I woke up, it put everything into perspective, you know, how lucky I was, and the recovery, you know, has been quick.
Taking the number 8 slot, we have the 2008 UFC Fight for the Troops event between Corey Hill and Dale Hart. 20 seconds into the 2nd round, Hill broke his right leg while throwing a kick that was checked by Dale Hart in what is widely considered one of the most gruesome injuries in mixed martial arts history.
Oh, Corey fell down. Oh, his leg's broken! His leg's broken! Oh, stop!
It's gonna be stopped.
Stop the fight! Stop the fight!
The fight is all over. Corey Hill has suffered a broken leg.
Whoa! Whoa!
You check this kick right here, and bam!
Coming in at number 5, we have by far the most gruesome injury in boxing history, but it unfortunately took place in the year 1900, so there is no footage of the event. The bout was between lightweight king Joe Gans and Frank Earn for the world lightweight title. Gans lost when he pulled out with what has been described as a cut eye, and seemed to confirm the prevailing view at the time that black fighters lacked heart. In fact, Gans' eye had popped out and was resting on his cheek. The Baltimore man's eye was dislodged from its socket by a head-on collision, quoted the Chicago Times-Herald. Gans popped his eye back in, but never regained full sight. At number 4, we have an injury that UFC commentator Joe Rogan described as the most horrific thing he has ever seen. At Bellator 158, Michael Page took on Evangelista Santos and won by knocking out Santos with a flying knee in the 2nd round.
See, it's hard to breathe, so just about everything you need in a fight, you lose off the liver shot. It can come back.
Santos runs into the jump knee, and it's over.
Did the hype train just pick up steam? That is the hardest knee I have ever seen. Big John McCarthy just said that, and he did it catching a guy coming in.
Santos had to undergo surgery afterwards due to a depressed frontal sinus fracture. Taking the number 3 slot, we have by far the most grotesque lump ever seen in a boxing ring. In 2013, the Russian warrior Denis Lebedev took on Guillermo Jones for the WBA cruiserweight title. Lebedev's eye started to swell in the early rounds, but he continued to fight through the pain for another 9 grueling rounds, amazingly winning most of them along the way. But in round 11, the swelling had got completely out of control and was finally stopped by the ring doctor, who appeared to be completely missing for the previous 6 rounds, as the fight should have clearly been stopped earlier. At number 2, we have the sad, relentless beating of Billy Collins Jr. back in 1983. Collins was matched against Puerto Rican journeyman Luis Resto at Madison Square Garden in New York City. Collins entered the fight as a betting favorite, but took a heavy beating and lost by a unanimous decision. At the end of the fight, Collins' father and trainer Billy Sr. noticed that Resto's gloves felt thinner than normal and demanded they be impounded. A subsequent investigation by the New York State Boxing Commission concluded that Resto's trainer, Panama Lewis, had removed an ounce of padding from each glove. It made Resto's punches harder and more damaging to Collins.
Shortly after the fight, Collins' handlers charged that Resto's gloves had been tampered with, that some of the required padding had been secretly and illegally removed, adding extra impact to Resto's punches.
The fight result was changed to a no contest, but as a result of the fight, Collins' eyes were swollen shut. He suffered a torn iris and permanently blurred vision, which left him unable to box again. After losing 2 jobs in a short time after the fight, he began drinking heavily. His violent mood swings threatened his marriage, and on March 6, 1984, he committed suicide by crashing his car into a culvert near his home in Antioch, Tennessee, being killed on impact. Many commentators, as well as Collins' family, believe the loss of his livelihood broke him psychologically.
Sometimes I feel like crying, you know. Why? Then why did that, Niccolo?
Coming in at number 1, we have an injury that, quite honestly, was hard to watch back and edit into this video. The 2008 contest between Razak Al-Hassan and Steve Cantwell resulted in complete disfigurement of Razak's arm.
Rolling out of it. Wow. Man, he's not giving up.
He might have to tap here.
This
fight is over.
Oh, he might have broke his arm. His arm went back at a severe angle there. You caught the arm bar. Did you expect him to tap here?
I really did. I like to thank God, give him all the glory, but yeah, I can't believe this dude didn't tap sooner. Watch it pop. Watch it backwards.
Thanks for watching, fight fans. I hope you enjoyed this video. If so, please leave a like, as it really helps out our channel. Until next time, this is Boxing Legends TV, signing off.
It's probably one of the most serious offenses ever committed inside the ring.
Hey fight fans, welcome back to another countdown here on Boxing Legends TV. Today we'll be taking a look at some of the most gruesome and explicit injuries to ever occur in combat sports history.
That is the hardest knee I have ever seen.
We must warn you that this countdown will not be for the faint of heart. Broken bones, grotesque swelling, and severe bloodshed is ahead, but we made sure to leave out any survivors of the 9/11 terror attacks. After Butler lost by unanimous decision, he had his gloves removed, and Grant then went to Butler's side of the ring for an expected exchange of congratulations. Instead, Butler sucker punched Grant, nailing a bare-handed right hook to his jaw.
He turns to Butler to shake his hand, congratulate him, putting his arm out. Boom! Right there. He was a coward and he couldn't get him during the fight, and he sucker punched him right there.
Grant suffered a temporarily dislocated jaw and a lacerations that led to or caused death. Coming in at number 15, we have one of the most viral boxing incidents of all time between James the Harlem Hammer Butler and Richard the Alien Grant back in 2001.
James Butler, the 28-year-old former USBA super middleweight champ, owns a record of 18-2 as a professional with 12 knockouts.
Although many of you may have seen this clip before, it's what happened after which is mind-blowing. Bizarrely enough, the bout between Butler and Grant was just a charity match set up to raise money for the show to try and cover up the evidence, but 2 days later, Butler was arrested and sentenced to 29 years in jail.
But objectively, my brother Sam was also a genius. He's a brilliant guy.
And was always your right hand, right? It was always.
I wouldn't say right hand. I would say that we were.
No, you guys were always together at the hip.
Yeah.
At number 14, we have arguably the most brutal bloodbath ever seen in combat sports between Joe Stevenson and BJ Penn for the UFC Interim Lightweight Championship in braided tongue that required 26 stitches. Butler went on to serve a 4-month jail sentence for the assault, but his reign of terror had only just begun. On October 12, 2004, writer Sam Kellerman, brother of boxing analyst Max Kellerman, was helping Butler out as a friend by letting him stay in his Hollywood apartment while he tried to get his boxing career back on track. After a few months had passed, Sam asked Butler to leave, whereby Butler flipped out and brutally murdered Sam with a hammer, smashing him with 10 to 20 blows in the head. He then torched the house down